There are some great examples in the Bible of friendships, good ones, bad ones, and friendships that had a little of both. One of those is Paul and Barnabas. So Paul was formerly named Saul, and he absolutely hated Christians. But once he met Jesus, everything changed. So from that moment on, he became one of the greatest missionaries who went on to become a great leader of the early church, helping people follow Jesus. And Barnabas, on the other hand, was a well-respected early Christian leader known for his encouragement and support of others. He was one of the first to tell others Paul was a good guy when nobody else trusted him. Barnabas was so encouraging that he actually got nicknamed the Encourager. So neither Paul nor Barnabas was a bad person. Let's get that out of the way. But they had the best kind of friendship for a while, and they traveled and helped others follow Jesus, and they were a great duo. But then they had to make a decision. And let's take a look at what was recorded about that in Scripture. It says this: After some time, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let's go back and visit each city where we previously preached the word of the Lord to see how the new believers are doing." Barnabas agreed and wanted to take along John Mark, but Paul disagreed strongly, since John Mark had deserted them in Pamphylia and had not continued with them in their work. Their disagreement was so sharp that they separated. Barnabas took John Mark with him and sailed for Cyprus. Paul chose Silas, and as he left, the believers entrusted to him to the Lord's gracious care. Then he traveled throughout Syria and Cilicia, strengthening the churches. That's Acts 15:36 through 41. So Paul and Barnabas needed to go on a trip. Barnabas wanted to take John Mark, who was a younger follower. The problem was John Mark had made a bad choice in the past and abandoned Paul and Barnabas. Barnabas wanted to give John Mark another chance, but Paul didn't think he was trustworthy. It's not that Barnabas was good or Paul was good or someone was bad. They just disagreed, and ultimately Paul decided it was not okay to travel with John Mark again. So they went their separate ways, and Barnabas took John Mark and Paul took Silas, and their friendship kind of ended. And what I love about this story isn't how the friendship ended. That's not the best part. It's what happens next. We never see Paul and Barnabas together again, but we also never see them talk poorly or act rudely towards each other. There's no Team Paul or Team Barnabas. In fact, later in Scripture, we see Paul say really nice things about John Mark, the same guy that he didn't want to travel with. And he even tells others to be nice to John Mark in a letter to the Christians at Colossae, which is located in modern-day Turkey, if you want to know. So there was no grudge or revenge or mean words. Paul and Barnabas were both good people who went on to do good things and have good friends, just not to each other. And their relationship was over. So what's the point? Sometimes good people aren't good for you. And that's a hard truth to accept sometimes. So let's talk about it with our groups a little bit more. Leaders, maybe you can give your students an example. Have a great group.